Hi! In this video I will show you how to get all those nice scenes that you've created over the course of this series into your video conferencing software of choice. I will show that for Teams, Zoom and Panopto, but you'll find that the concept will apply to every other video conferencing software that uses a camera. That will make you ready to finally show those scenes to your students to show production value in your online teaching. My name is Gerd Christanadl. I'm an online educator and learning technologist at the University of Greenwich, London, UK. I share tips and tutorials on how to build your online teaching presence. Hit that subscribe button below and turn on notifications to stay in the loop for every new video that is being published on this channel. Cheers! In the OBS in Higher Education video series so far, we have created 3 base scenes. The first scene is the one pretty similar to one you're seeing right now, a background and you as a talking head. The second scene that we've created is a scene where you share content and you are there also on the screen as a talking head. And the third scene is the overhead scene or document cam or desk cam or visualizer view, however you want to call it, that shows you do something on your desk with your hands, drawing and similar, and you're also present as a talking head. Now it's time to get those shiny scenes to your students, because ultimately OBS is a video production software. But we need a video conferencing software in order to get all of that to your students, to show your online presence off. And today I will show you how to do this with OBS. So I'm going to introduce to you the so-called virtual camera. So how does the virtual camera actually work? Current situation, or the situation before you'd be using the virtual camera, is that you have your webcam, and this webcam is feeding directly into, for instance, Microsoft Teams. So how does the virtual camera now work? It is a bit different. You still have your camera and you still have your Teams, but there's no direct feed there anymore. You're using OBS in the middle. By using a video capture source in OBS, you have selected your webcam to feed into OBS. And now OBS is outputting that as well. And we can use the virtual camera to do that. So all those nice scenes, all those compositions of the elements in your scenes will now be output via virtual camera. We're going to go ahead and actually initiate the virtual camera. Please do that before you start the session. So let's click on Start Virtual Camera, and you find this down here in the bottom right, and you just click on Start Virtual Camera. That's all you need to do. So now the virtual camera is active, it's broadcasting. And now we need to pick up the feed from the virtual camera in our video conferencing software of choice. So let's start off with Microsoft Teams. Now I'm over here in Microsoft Teams. I'm all excited that I can finally broadcast my OBS scenes to my students. I've prepared my scenes for that. Fantastic stuff. But how can I actually get this going? It's actually very simple. You can set your virtual camera as a default. All you need to do is click on your profile here on the top right in MS Teams. Then you're clicking on Manage Account. And then you're clicking on Devices. You can see that in my devices I have a lot of things already set. But down here you need to select OBS Virtual Camera. It is likely that you have your current webcam selected here. So in my case, that's either the C922 or the C920. So you need to look for an entry called OBS Virtual Camera. And then, if you have started OBS Virtual Camera in OBS, you will see the feed here. What do you see if you have not activated it? I'm stopping my virtual camera now. And now you see in MS Teams that you have this placeholder image. Yeah, that indicates that the virtual camera is not active. Okay, I'm gonna start my virtual camera again. You see I'm back here in my preview window in Microsoft Teams. Right, so now it's time to finally start teaching using these OBS scenes. So let's go ahead and share the main screen. In my meeting, you see that my virtual camera is active, as I just set it active in my devices. And I'm gonna call this meeting our first session live. Be there. Gonna start my meeting. And I'm just gonna mute myself here because I don't want to create audio conflict because I'm recording this at the same time. Obviously you don't mute yourself. But you see that I'm right here now in the meeting. What you might notice here that this looks odd, doesn't it? It's mirrored. It's the other way around. The thing is, that is how Teams uses the camera. You might have noticed that when you used your regular camera in Teams that you look actually in reverse. You look mirrored. But don't worry. What actually happens at the end of your audience, of your students, your participants, is they see you the right way around. You can easily check that by recording a couple of minutes, do a little practice in Teams, and then play it back to yourself, and then you can see, hey, great, I'm actually the right way around to my audience. So let's go ahead and actually switch between the scenes to see if OBS is actually feeding the changes into my Teams meeting. So I'm gonna go ahead and you see how OBS dragged in here. So the main scene is projecting, we know that, and I'm gonna switch to my second scene. And there is my second scene, so I switched in OBS. Of course you can use the touch portal if you followed my last video with touch portal, how to do this remotely. I'm just gonna drag up the OBS window here so you can see I'm actually here in my meeting. And now I can go ahead and switch to my third scene, which is my overhead cam scene. And you can see, of course, in Teams, it looks mirrored, but to your audience, it looks like the scene that we have here in OBS. So you can start now demonstrating things on your desk if you wish to do so. So let's go ahead and end the meeting now. All right. Does this work in Zoom as well? The answer is, very obviously, yes. So let's switch over to Zoom and see how it works there. So now we're over here in Zoom and we're gonna set our OBS virtual camera as our main video feed. To do so, you go over to the top right and you click on the cog symbol, the settings. Then you go to in the settings to the video tab and just like in MS Teams, you selecting as your camera your OBS virtual camera right there. Then you can go ahead and play around with settings like original ratio or HD. I would definitely try if there's a quality difference. Do not mirror the video. That's not necessary. You can see this is perfectly fine. The OBS output is straight up, it's not mirrored. And that's it. You close that and then we can start a new meeting. And you see it's connecting the well-known Zoom video. And you can see I'm right there. And of course I can switch my scenes. So if I drag in my OBS again and I switch my scenes, you can see this is immediately reflected here, adding a much needed production value to online recordings and live sessions. Now many institutions are also using Panopto as a recording software, and it's also able to actually live stream sessions. It's probably not used as much in live stream sessions in the presence of Zoom or Microsoft Teams or similar software. So I'm just going to show you where you can use your OBS scenes if you want to use Panopto as a recorder. To do so, we open Panopto and then you see we have the primary sources right here on the top left. And in video, and you probably guessed it, all you need to do is select your OBS virtual camera. It's loading and there it is. All you need to set before you record is that you're not capturing any main screen. You're just capturing your video feed. Now, of course, in Panopto, I can also show to you how the scene switching works. And now I'm switching my scenes. You can see right here in Panopto that it also switches. So this just to show you that it would also work in a software like Panopto and any other software that can address a camera. Because if that software like WebEx, for instance, or Adobe Connect uses a camera feed, you can switch that camera feed to your OBS virtual camera and you're good to go. However, there's one thing I would recommend. Your institution might have the policy to record sessions using Panopto. You might want to clarify with your institution if you are permitted to actually record using OBS instead, because the quality in OBS is direct, it's much better, you don't have that connection into Panopto, and then upload the recording to the Panopto server instead. I don't want to entice you to breach any kind of policies that you need to adhere to. There's one caveat though. If you're using OBS virtual camera in Zoom or Teams, you might have noticed that the quality of the feed in Teams or Zoom is probably not what you expected. This is particularly an issue with Microsoft Teams at the moment. The reason is that the Microsoft servers throttle the quality of the video stream. With so many people using Teams and Zoom and similar software, of course, the server capacities are very overstretched at times. So that's why there is a decision by some of the corporate tech giants to throttle the quality down, no matter what you feed into your Teams or Zoom. That's unfortunately currently the caveat of using Teams or Zoom, but it has ultimately nothing to do with OBS itself. So our integration between OBS and Teams or Zoom is not 100% complete yet. Because what you ultimately want is also full control over your audio. And I've mentioned that in my earlier video on audio, microphone, desktop audio setup. That, however, warrants an additional separate video where we can talk about how we can complete that integration and also include audio feeding from OBS into Teams or Zoom and actually back. Because if you're using OBS as a recording device for your live sessions and your students are answering questions using their microphones, then you can have that as an audio feed, as a separate audio feed back into OBS, and it's actually on the recording in a very, very high quality. Now over to you. Again, and probably guessed it, I have a question of the day. Are you ready to teach your first online session using OBS, using your scenes and scene setups? Or have you already tried doing it? And what did your students say? What is your experience with it if you've already tried it? I'm interested in what you have to say about it. So please comment below and let me know. By the way, if you found this video useful, if you liked it, then please give it a thumbs up, give it a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to not miss out on any new content that I breeze here on this channel. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay hungry for new skills. Bye!